Welcome to the Fit Affiliate podcast, where we talk about behavior and behavior-based conversations as they relate to CrossFit affiliate owners and coaches. My name's Lisa Hetherington, and I'm your co-host. Sitting alongside me are Tony and Chuck, the founders of Fit Affiliate. And welcome back to another episode of the Fit Affiliate podcast. Got ahead of myself then. I am super excited today to have another special guest. They're rolling out of the woodwork of late, but Ash Coppola, how are you?
I'm doing great, Lisa. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And all the better for having a chance to have a chat with you on this fine day.
Yeah.
And why I thought that you would be a fantastic guest to talk about is, your experience in CrossFit and the various roles you've had. I think we can have a really interesting chat. So why don't you give us a little bit of a background on, how long you've been in CrossFit, how you came across it, and, what are some of the reasons you love it?
Yeah. I found CrossFit initially probably about 7 years ago. And then really got into it about 6 years ago. I came in as kind of a yoga instructor for them, for them to provide an extra service to their members. And with that, I would be able to take a free class once a week, and I was obsessed with it. I was always an athlete and train, and it was just like the next step up. And I was like, I need to be part of this. So after working with them for about a year, I was like, okay, I got to get my level 1. I got to get in here. Um, and so I've been coaching, I guess, for about 5 years now. And yeah, that journey was very organic.
Which, is how it happens for a lot of coaches. So, being immersed in the community and your experience and background, I guess, teaching yoga gives you, I guess, a little bit of a unique perspective when you're working with members and clients around, movement and recovery and, range of movement and flexibility and mobility. So, how have you found integrating those two, which people can often think that CrossFit and yoga are completely opposite ends of the spectrum?
Yeah, it's interesting because when I work in yoga studios and they hear I also run a CrossFit gym and coach CrossFit, they're like, "Oh my, could never do that." And then when I'm in CrossFit, they're always like, "I could never do yoga." And I'm like, "No, you guys have to find the balance between the two. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful marriage."
Yep.
But yeah, I think the best as a coach is watching movement, being able to identify if someone is struggling with range of motion. I have a little bit of a different toolbox to help them. And it in warming, recovery, cool downs, and such to get certain things active and some dynamic movement before, loading or anything like that, which has been helpful. And I've also brought some yogis into CrossFit, and they realize it's just like anything else. It's where you start at the and work your way up. Expectations low and your ego out of the question, and
which is probably why a lot of people don't want to try yoga, because the old ego is like, oh, I'm going to be really bad at that. It's uncomfortable. I'm not going to be able to hold those positions or do it. So I'm just not doing that. And it can be that same thing that, keeps people out of yoga as much as they keep out of CrossFit. Maybe that's why, they've kind of found a little nest together in a lot of gyms, is they'll run their own yoga sessions and stuff. So yeah, that maybe there's more parallels than we like to think.
Oh, absolutely. 1,000% there is. It's all about the mindset,
Yeah, that's right. Like everything. So one of the things that I really wanted to talk to you about today is your experience in being a gym manager slash head coach, we have a lot of people who come through on consult to make inquiries at here at Fit Affiliate, and they're like, "Oh yeah, but I'm not an owner." And being a head coach or a gym manager can be a really sticky sort of position to be in. It's kind of like a no man's land, I guess, where you can feel that either the owner is completely not present, so you're left to do everything, but you actually have not much authority, or you've got an owner who won't let go of things because we like to hold on to things from an owner's perspective, or you don't know what the boundaries are, what you can put forward, you really want to contribute. And then meanwhile, the owners sit in the office going, I wish my coaches would contribute more and help row this boat. So, unless there can be a lot of clear communication, and even as gym owners, we struggle. We go, well, we've got this person, we put in the head coach, and we've given them all the stuff we don't want to do. What else do we do with them, kind of thing? How have you sort of navigated that experience in your various, roles in and trying to find where in the place that you sit?
Mm. Um, well, and I think my evolution to the gym manager kind of came organically. It really was like a step by step. And then one day it was like, oh, I am in charge of this place. And, my owner gets to, run his own other business. And he knows like there's a complete trust that I will take care of this place for him.
Yeah.
Where I started was first I just took over majority of the classes to try and get some more classes under my belt, and then I took on small roles. I just kept on asking for more responsibilities and roles. And
Mm,
after COVID, it kind of evolved with coaches. There was a lot of people, um, including the owner, that were just not ready to come back when we were allowed to open because there were so many rules, there was so much fear,
mm,
which was a really hard thing to navigate. But that was kind of when it really evolved into full like, okay, I run the show here. Um,
yeah,
and I would say that coming into that role, it was almost like I didn't realize I was doing it.
mm,
So uh, because everything else had happened so step by step that all the little things on the back end were already happening. But then it was right after COVID when I didn't really have any coaches. I had like one or two that were able to help here and there, but I needed a team.
mm.
Um, and then it was, a couple of our clients became coaches. They got their level one, and then it was like, oh, I have to manage all these people, not just like the members and running good classes. And that was
Yep.
for me, kind of like it was already happening, but I didn't realize it was happening until I was like,
Yeah,
oh, I have issues. I'm in charge of these issues now. Um,
yeah.
and I'd
I'm
say
looking
like
for an
with,
adultier adult.
yeah. Um, in my sense, I would say, the owner was very free to allow me. He gave me a lot of freedom to try things and do what I needed to do, which was really wonderful.
Great.
So that transparency was there.
Yep.
Um, but as far as like me learning what steps I should take and what things I should handle in what way, I mean, that was just a whole trial and error.
Yep. Yep.
I
And
don't think he had ever had anyone that took that role on for him before either. So I think he and I were both learning that balance
mm,
and that shift.
yeah. And that can be the hard thing is trying to figure out where the boundaries are and where the as my dog comes in, where the boundaries are and what the expectations are when neither no it can be a powerful thing as a gym owner to have the right person sitting in that seat that is going to help, take you forward. But um if you're not using it to its full potential, or, kind of just, it can be a lost opportunity. So, yeah. Do you feel, so one of the things we talk about a lot is, I'll rephrase it. One of the things we talk about a lot is the concept of coach maths, for example. So it's a joke in CrossFit land that coaches look around and go, oh, Bob's got 100 members paying $200 a month. Wow, he's like rolling in it. This is amazing. I'm going to go open an affiliate. But what the coach is not also understanding, that I might make that much a month, but also, over the year, my expenditure is, $1 less than that revenue or whatever. Having that look
Right.
behind the curtains can be quite a confronting, but also a very sort of eye-opening experience for a coach to truly understand why some decisions are made in the affiliate. Did you find that as you went through that kind of, not that I thought that you did coach maths, but did you, as you saw more behind the curtain of the affiliate, did it make you want to be more, engaged, or give you more awareness of understanding of why things were happening the way that they did?
Yes, it definitely did. And I didn't really have insight to what our costs were
Mm,
until fairly recently. Um, so it was challenging to see or to make decisions, I guess,
mm,
on how many hours should we pay other coaches, how much should I make sure I have covered, and what
mm,
else do we need to try to bring in, and what should we charge, and all of those
mm.
things, because I didn't really know or understand what the baseline needed to be. And
Yep,
once I had that information, like,
yep,
you just look at everything and everyone with different eyes.
yep. I remember when I came
Everything.
into affiliate as a client, and they started showing me some, what it cost me to run classes, and what classes were popular. We described it as having a Terminator eye. So once you see that information, you can't unsee it. Then you look at it and go, "Oh, this is not working," and "Oop, that's got to go," or whatever. And it's really easy to see where the holes are once you understand those metrics, and see what's happening, and you know why it's just hard sometimes.
Yeah, it's like once you see it, you can't unsee it, kind of thing, even if you wish you could. And, a perfect example was, we used to have a 9 a.m. years, and the last year I coached it, it was the same 3 people. And
Yep.
then it went down to 2 people. And
Mm,
we kept it on because, it was this like, "Oh, well, this guy can't come to any other class." But it was
yep.
like, that's 5 hours a week that is being completely thrown out. And, like,
Mm,
as much as we don't that member and that would make us sad, it's realizing how much money you're technically spending to run
mm.
that class.
Yep, you're not actually getting
So,
ahead. You're actually more ahead if you didn't have that person.
right.
Yeah, I did that for years, kept a 7:30 PM class going because I was like, "Oh, this person can't go to another class." Then they left the gym and went to another gym, and they were going to a 6:15 PM at their other gym because they didn't offer the 7:30. He was just coming to the 7:30 because it was convenient, because he could. And I was like,
Mm.
"Ah, that okay." No longer doing stuff, you know, on that basis. So one of the big things that you did, um, I guess, to take ownership of your own development, is you signed up for our Power and Numbers program, our PIN program, which you went through. What triggered you to jump into that, like, off your own sort of volition?
Oh, you want the full story or the abbreviated version?
Whichever one you want to go with. We've got all day.
Um, I'll give somewhere in between. I
Yep.
took Tony's seminar when he did the gymnastics course, and I think I was actually the last one. Um, and I've taken so many seminars, and it was the first seminar that I left feeling like I actually had an action plan and a way to implement, and I was able to remember things without feeling overwhelmed.
Mm.
And he spoke about Fit Affiliate and got a free call and all of that. So I was like, well, I'm gonna take it. um, and talking to Chuck and Tony was just really eye opening for a number of reasons, which I won't go down that rabbit hole, but basically learning that my approach and my mindset with just and so many people think like this, it wasn't, I don't want to say it was wrong, but it was just, it needed a little bit of like gray area to have some curiosity and
Mhm.
shift the perspective.
Yep.
And
Yep.
had so many aha moments just on our 1 hour call that I was like, okay, I have to get in here somehow.
Yep.
And so they told me about PIN, and I was going through a different course with my gym, and having some trouble implementing some of the information from that course
Mm.
to help my gym get better. And just by that 1 hour conversation with Chuck and Tony, knowing that my perspective had shifted and being like, oh, this makes sense. I wanted more.
Mm.
Um, so that's kind of what led me to PIN. And I mean, PIN just totally helped me implement so many things that it was like I had all this information in my brain, in notebooks, in my computer, everywhere, but it wasn't going where I wanted it to go,
Mm.
or, and so that was kind
And I
of my, you know,
and I
moment.
guess that's a really good, um, I guess, validation of, you can have someone give you all the content strategies, plans, and ideas, but if you actually don't know what's behind them to implement them or see if they're worth implementing, it it's very hard. Like we often talk in Fit Affiliate about, it's not about us giving you the answers, it's about helping you find your own path and your own answers and guiding you through coaching. Because sometimes it can be quite overwhelming when you're bombarded with all this stuff and you're expected to implement it. You're like, well, I don't know if that fits and I don't know how to make it fit. And I might adjust it, but I might drop something critical, which means, oh, that didn't work for me.
Right. And
It's
that
that
was
those gurus.
yeah, and that was kind of it, is like you get all these, we're going to go with the word answers and advice
Mm.
for now. I feel like it's a little bit different than that, but you get answers and advice through, I mean, not even taking courses and seminars, but like even podcasts and Instagrams and this, that, the other thing of what you should do.
Mm.
But we all know, unless it makes sense in our brain and like you have that aha moment, then it's
Mm.
just like doing someone else's thing for them and hoping it works. And that's
Yep.
like you have nothing to, you don't have anything to hold on, feels like your investment, I guess.
Yep. Yep. Oh, for
Where,
sure.
I feel like Pin and Fit Affiliate just kind of taught me how to look at things differently to make it my own. And so I could have the confidence of implementing and investing and putting things out there.
Mm.
I
And
don't know
it's
if that was clear and how I'm gonna communicate that, but
no, 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 that makes perfect sense because, a lot of, and in that group, which is a small group for that reason, is that, we're not packing 300 people in that group. So you're sitting on a Zoom with tiny little screens and hoping someone might answer your question. It's, 6 to 8 people and helping you understand how to take things forward to the owner in the right way. So rather than going to an owner and saying, "Hey, we got to do this," but, "Oh, are you going to do that?" No, well, I'm just telling you what you need to do, versus learning how to take ownership of something, saying, "Hey, I see this opportunity, I'm going to run with it." And, you know, as an owner, I put 2 staff through PIN, and at first it was really confronting for me because, they come back to me and say, "How many leads have we had in this week?" And you're like, "Why?
Mhm.
Why do you wanna know?" And it was I was like, "Oh, well, 5 or 6, and they're like, "Okay, well, who are they?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, this is in my head. I need to get these down." And it's like, "Well, what happened to them? Why didn't they convert? Or why did this person?" And they're asking me hard questions as an owner, which you don't normally have to answer to anyone except yourself, or if you have a coach, or a mentor, that's who you're answering to. But it was very freeing then. I even had the experience where, and I've talked about this before, one of my coaches, I was going to do something, I can't even remember what it was now financially, and he has dragged me by the arm back to my office and pointed to the scoreboard on the whiteboard in my office and went, "So does this decision, is that factored in these numbers here?" And I go, "Well, no." "Well, then that's why are you even thinking about it?" It's like, "Okay, good chat,
Mhm.
buddy. Thank you." And it's just having someone who you realize is invested as you are. How did you find the experience in that smaller group environment and realizing that you maybe weren't the only one that struggled with the same things?
Yeah, it was really helpful and eye-opening to know that, like, exactly what you just said. Other people were having the same problems. It might be masked or seen in a different way, but I, for the bottom line of conversation, it was essentially the same sort of issue.
Mm,
Um, and it was neat to be able to hear different versions of the issue, um, and different approaches to work it out, because my solution for my gym and how we want to run it is going to be different than your solution for your gym and how you want to do it. But the
mm,
ideas that get conversed help you brainstorm and kind of get it out loud, so you can, because
mm,
sometimes I'd say something and I'd be like, "Oh, well, that's stupid." But like, until you actually say it out loud and give it to somebody else, you don't, it's amazing what our brains can do and make us think some
mm,
things are a good idea that are terrible, and other things that are, we think like would never work. And then I'm like, oh no, that's legit. We could facilitate that,
mm.
um,
Yeah, it's
my
just I
onboarding
get
process was in motion, uh, when I was creating that.
mm,
I was definitely a little scared of implementing it and going back to the numbers and seeing things. Once you learn the difference of what the income can be and how it can help your gym, and then
mm,
it also provided the person coming in with a little bit of comfort and a relationship to start before they jump into class. I mean,
mm,
I think I probably would have waited another month or 6 weeks if I hadn't been in PIN and been like, "Okay, yeah, I can do this and I need to do this." And,
yep.
um, it made a huge difference for us.
Yeah, it can. I remember my guys, suddenly one of them came back to me and said, "I understand now why, it's important that we sell bottles of water, for example, that can make a huge difference, or why you're always saying to wear our, gym shirt when we're not coaching to work out in, or, buy the protein here." I said, "Yeah." I said, 2 or 3 sales a week makes a huge difference to the bottom line over the year." And they actually had, you know, the back knowledge. So then they started suddenly buying more of their own supplements and knee sleeves and all that sort of stuff through me, and then recommending it to members. Because usually, like I was saying to somebody the other week, like when the whole transition between Reebok and Noble happened for CrossFit, like I
Mm,
love my nanos, always have. And most of the members in my gym still wore nanos because they would come to me and say, "Well, what shoes do you recommend?" And that's, showing the coaches that, the members are going to be led by your example. If they see you drinking the protein, they're going to want to drink the protein. If they see you wearing the shirt or the whatever, it was a very important link for them, understanding it wasn't just a bottle of water, or, understanding concepts like LTV and ATV, that, oh, if a member left in their first week, how much have we really lost? Not just it's one person. Or if you're
yeah,
an ass to Bob in the 5 a.m. and he quits, well, it's not just Bob's gone. It's all of this other potential stuff and this long-term residual income. And it it was very eye-opening for them to see that, and it actually led to them to be more engaged, through that process. How have you found the benefit of having through that being coached, because that is led by, one of our Fit affiliate coaches? How did you find that helped you in just even your everyday approach to CrossFit and looking at the community through a different lens?
It made me more curious,
Mhm.
I would say. Um,
Yep.
Instead of everything, I think the easiest way to relate this is CrossFit has standards for their movements, right? And they're there for a reason, obviously, because we
Mhm.
want you as mobile and as um, capable as possible. But not everybody's able to meet those standards, and not
Mm.
because they don't want to. It's not Johnny's not squatting full depth because he's lazy.
Mm.
It's there's bigger things going on, and then it's like, oh, you know, me or any of my coaches saying, get lower in your squat, get lower in your squat isn't going to make Johnny get lower if he physically can't get lower. Right.
Yep.
So it's then, trying to approach John and communicate with him after class, before class, in downtime of like, hey, it seems like, your glutes, your adductors might be a little tight. This is what I'm thinking based on XYZ movements. Have you
Mm.
ever noticed any uncomfort? And then working with them. And then, the next thing you know, they're telling you also about a past injury, or when they used to play football in high school, or their kid did this. And like you learn about their outside life, which grows the bond stronger, makes them want to stay more, lets them know you
Mhm.
care.
Yep.
So curiosity leads to a lot more good
Yeah.
and better service
Mm.
all around.
Yeah, and that curiosity comes down to, like, just asking better questions. And
Hmm.
if you can ask somebody, "Well, why is that important to you?" But they can tell if you're not interested. But if you can ask, "Why is that
Right.
important to you?" and really listen actively, like, it can be life-changing for people to have someone ask them that question and give them the opportunity to share things that matter to them.
Right.
And that's our, power as coaches, I guess, on the floor, is that, we have access to so many people's lives and can make such a difference to their lives in many different ways, good, bad, or indifferent, hopefully more good than bad, but just by talking to them and listening to them, because really people just want to be seen and heard.
Right.
And this
And
is go on.
oh, I was just going to share a quick story, and I
Mm,
think I shared this with you personally a week or two ago. But we have a client that always did rope climbs, and there came a
mm,
point where she was avoiding rope climbs, and she finally said to me on the side one day, I understand CrossFit's constantly varied and it's all good for my body and blah, blah, blah. But I just don't understand why I need to learn how to rope climb. I'm never going to be hanging off a cliff. And, and she's like, up some work. But, and, I understood her frustration because it's it's hard and it's frustrating and it's hard to stay focused or feel like you're getting a workout if you can't do something and you're just trying to learn the skill. We've all been there in
mm,
different things. And,
mm,
I know that personally, this friend has um, things like Alzheimer's, dementia, things like that in her family, all sorts of neurological diseases. And I know that's very important to her is brain health as well. And I told her, I was like, here, for nothing else, how about you come and you work on those rope climbs because it's going to it's going to it's going to fire new neurotransmitters and form new connections in your brain. And that's going to help your overall capacity long term. And
mm.
she always comes to rope climbs now, and she can actually climb now. And it's
Oh,
the coolest thing
nice.
to watch somebody
Mm,
care about rope climbs get excited,
Yeah.
after years of really trying. And
Yep.
it's like things like that. It's so powerful. It's not just about CrossFit and the fitness part. It's so much bigger.
Yeah, it's just a tool. And, we talk about in affiliate, one of the big things we work with our clients on is about knowing their why. And it's no different for you guys as coaches on the floor. It's like you knew her why and could use that to help her move past fear and take the next step that she
Mm,
needed to take and understand why something was important and worth doing because it mattered to her,
yeah.
rather than just seeing it just as a rope climb. Sure, you may never dangle from a cliff, but everyone needs new neural pathways and to get that brain matter firing, more often for sure. And as well as, the confidence and everything else she gets from conquering that. I mean, that's huge. And that's
Yeah.
why we do what we do, isn't it? It's like help guiding people through. So from Pin, you made the leap into our $1 Million Coach program, which is a online course. So you worked your way through that. Was that just the next sort of step you felt like in your evolution of like being curious and okay, what's the next thing that I can learn in this format where it's not just telling me everything?
Yeah. More curious for sure of, how do we bring more revenue to ourselves as coaches and then
Mhm.
to the gym overall.
Yep.
And again, it goes back to what I said earlier. We have all these seminars and all this information, but what do we do with it? Like, do I just
Mm,
coach a 1 hour class, like 4 hours a day, 5 days a week for the rest of my life and make that,
mm,
X amount an hour? Like, it's
mm,
being curious to see how creative you can get for what your skills are and what your comfort level is to try and build something different to provide an opportunity for your members and an opportunity for your gym
mm,
to bring in more money, allow them to learn something or experience something different and new. Um,
mm.
and that whole path is still like I'm still working through the steps, and I refer to it regularly to try and create new ideas
Mm.
and opportunities.
Yeah, quite often, that's where gym managers, head coaches can fall in the trap. They're like, well, I've got my, level one, two, three, four, whatever it is that they have. I've done all these specialty seminars. Like, go to the owner and like, well, what are you going to pay me now? And he's like, well, what are you, what are you bringing to me? Like, and
You
not
still get 20 bucks,
understanding. Yeah, you still get to
30
get 20.
bucks.
Because look,
Yeah.
here's the bucket. That's all that's in the bucket is and understanding that, if you can generate more revenue for the gym, you will benefit from that. And using your skills and abilities and coming to the gym owner with, you know, how do I be more valuable to you? How can I be an asset rather than an expense? Because, pretty much if you're just turning up, coaching for 1 hour, going home, that's an expense. You're an expense to the business. You're an asset in that hour that you're coaching, but in effect, you're essentially an expense. So how do I learning how to frame the conversation, I guess, to the owner about how can I add more value to to the gym, and we both benefit, rather than well, I'm just going to do
Right.
PT and I'm just going to keep all that money and I'm going to do all those things. It's like understanding how it can work for both parties and your role in that,
Right.
because the owner's only one person, so there's speaking from myself, there's nothing more frustrating when you're sitting there and your coaches come to you and say, "Yeah, we should run a gymnastics seminar." Cool, you want to take that on? No. Okay, I don't have the capacity to take that on, so it just doesn't happen. But having
Yeah.
all those seminars and experiences is so great for members, and such a great opportunity. And I was happy to let the coaches run with that, but then they didn't understand necessarily that they could run with that. It's like well, I just bring an idea to you. It's like, you know, no, this is not how this is going to work now. It's like, see a problem, bring me a solution, and then how are you going to implement that?
Yeah, and I know for me, like even as the general manager, I have a coach wanted to do, and I've always wanted to bring in kids class. I didn't have the capacity or bandwidth to take that on myself, nor
Mm,
did I really honestly want to. But one of my coaches approached me and I was like, I love that idea. I want to do it. If you want to take the kids course and then come up
mm,
with, we can start with 6-week sessions or whatever, but like you have to own that. That's
mm,
you're responsible. And he did. And, I had another member who took her level 1. She's a teacher. And then because I was like, I think you'd be great for the kids class too, if you're
mhm.
interested. And she did. And now I have these 2 that have taken full ownership of the kids and teens class. And it's been a huge hit. And then our members like it because now their kids are getting a foot in the door.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it's about, I empowered my team to do that.
Yep.
And then, so they get some more time, some more experience, and they are also bringing in new revenue for the gym.
Yep. Yeah, taking ownership, and that can be an empowering thing. Like, when it happened to you, like how powerful that was when you're like, okay, I'm empowered to do what I need to do and own this and make it successful. And you tend to, because it's your idea, rather than me coming to you and saying, hey, Ash, you're going to run a gymnastics class. And you're like, not really my thing, but okay. Rather than, hey, I really want to run this program. I'm really passionate about it. Da da da. It's going to be more successful.
Yep.
Because as you've experienced in your journey of learning, it's easier when something is your idea, your concept, rather than someone just telling you what to do or what you should implement.
Yeah,
Yeah, you have
for
more
sure.
ownership. So I guess, to get to the last piece of your evolution of learning and curiosity, you then started looked into one-on-one coaching. We won't talk about your coach. I know they're amazing. They'll just get a big head. We won't talk about them. But what what led you to go down, to say, okay, I want to work one on one with a coach to help me push even further forward than I did in the group model at Penn. And I've done this $1 million coach program. Here's my next step.
Yeah. Yeah, my coach has a funky accent, but I deal with
Yeah,
it.
don't
um,
hold that against her.
I needed the accountability. I think we all do. And I, not to be a broken record, but I've been through so many things where you get told what to do and you're given all the information. And I was like, I don't need that. I need a way now to manage, filter, and start to process, identify, and prioritize all of this knowledge that I have.
Mm,
And that, when I obviously talking with Chuck and Tony, I was like, I'm in the right place. These are the people, these are my people I want to be around.
mhm. Yep.
I said that I were the hippies of CrossFit because of the way they think. And I was like, I'm
Yeah.
in. And then Pin and I worked with Matt as my coach. Um,
Mm,
Again, it just the same thing. It was the discussion and the curiosity, and then taking the time to not spin my wheels, but say, okay, what can we do that's going to move that needle, and
mm.
to lay things out so they can become manageable.
Yep.
Um, so
And
obviously, and then and the one-on-one coaching is just, I just needed that for me, about me, so that my journey can go in the direction I want it to go. And I
mm,
don't stay stagnant or in one place. 'Cause I
mm.
tend to do that.
No,
You tend to get
it's
comfortable, and then you're like, I'll find all the to-dos that seem like I'm doing things, but they're not actually moving me forward. And
Yeah.
I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah. And I'm the
So I
queen of
needed
that.
the accountability.
I, f- I feel like I have a lot of output. So I feel like, oh, I've been productive this week. And it's like, yeah, that's a great spreadsheet. Did you really need it? No, but look at what I did. I did things. And I think, having that accountability, that was a big part of my journey into affiliate as well, is that, as an affiliate owner and sometimes as a head coach gym owner, you might say, okay, well, this week I'm going to do this, this, and this. And you're like, didn't get to it. Oh, well, nobody knows because nobody knows what you're going to do. Whereas when you've got something on a to-do list that someone's going to care enough to ask you next week, okay, did you get these things done? And you're like, no. Then they care enough to say, well, why? What's the block? What stopped you? Let's work through that. Versus like, you don't want to turn up to that meeting and say, oh, well, actually, I haven't done any of those things. But I did all these shiny, pretty things over here, because then that's a whole different conversation. But that as your coach, we care enough to go, they're really pretty. That's good job. But why? Like, what's happening for you that you are running off and chasing squirrels, as I often get accused of,
Well,
rather than
me,
what's uncomfortable for this about you?
yeah. Um, and I think the accountability is huge, and it's also just learning. Like, I will get frustrated with myself if I'm coming to that meeting knowing that the week before I didn't really have an answer for, a goal or like why I didn't get something done. And then maybe I moved that needle a little bit, but not as much as I wanted to. And so
Mhm.
it also, you know, as long as you don't get obsessed with the guilt factor of that, it also just keeps the fire going for you of like, I didn't get as much done as I wanted to in that
Mm.
space. I really, really want before our next meeting so I can be like, yes, I finally, like feels good for
Yep.
you. And it also gives someone to share that feeling with, which, we're humans. So
Yep.
not that we need validation, but it, it keeps that momentum going.
Mm. It's good just to feel like you've got someone on your team, really. And I know that
Hmm.
Chuck and Tony have talked about they started affiliate because they didn't want affiliate owners to feel alone because they'd felt like that on their journey. And it can be the loneliest seat in the house. And to a degree, being a gym manager, head coach can be a really lonely seat because sometimes you're like, well, I can't go and tell the owner that I feel stuck and I'm failing. And I can't tell the members, like, how do I move forward? And also having a
Yeah.
light shone on our tendencies like chasing squirrels and looking at shiny things. It's like I can now start doing something. I'm like, oh, hang on a minute. Hold on. I'm doing that thing again. Why am I doing that? And it's, and
Yeah.
it's not if you turn up to a meeting, our weekly meetings are sacred. You turn up to the meeting and you go, oh, I haven't done that. No one's like yelling at you or telling you failed. It's like, okay, well, let's look at why. What happened for
Yeah.
you and you can start to babble off your surface level excuse and reason. And then it's like, cool, but what else? Like, what's really, and start digging in under that. And then you're like, oh, well, actually, I was scared to do that. Okay, now we're getting somewhere and working through that in a really positive way rather than making you feel like, you fail for not getting those things done every week, which we can internalize ourselves and make ourselves feel like that. Um, I think too, and we were talking on this the other day on another call that I had that, a lot of people can perceive that, affiliate is really just about gym owners and that we can help gym owners. But we do get a lot of inquiries from head coaches and gym managers who want to figure out where they fit in the ecosystem, what they do. And I guess there's a perception that, well, if I'm not the business owner, why do I need business coaching?
Mm. Well, I mean, my simple answer for that would be like, do you just want to coach classes forever? Because I don't
Mm,
think anybody really does, nor should they, because our goal as humans should be to evolve, right?
mm,
And if you're like, well, no, this is just how I pay for XYZ, and I like that I'm a member here, I coach, then yeah, maybe that's not for you. But for
mm,
a majority of people who got into coaching, just like I did, it's like, how many people can I help? How many lives
mm,
can I change? and
Mm.
everybody's got something they're more passionate about, whether it's Olympic lifting, nutrition. I mean, the list goes on and on. You can get even more specific into the minute details.
Mm.
Um, but you have a way that you could kind of take advantage of that passion and that specialty that you have.
Mm.
Um, and getting some one-on-one coaching will help you
Yep.
start the direction of where you can take that and see the opportunities that lie ahead of you that might be just within your affiliate, and you don't even have to do anything else, but you can, execute in your affiliate and do more.
Mm.
And or it might be outside of your affiliate. There might be things that you can do within the walls of the affiliate and then remotely, or
Mm.
from, you know or go and visit schools or something like that. There are so many different avenues that you could go down, and that coaching helps you figure out, not tell you, but helps you figure out which one is best for you,
Mm.
because that's where you really want to go, and that will serve you the best for your future.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, anyone could benefit. I tell Fit Affiliate all the time that they could take this and coach anyone in any position, not just
Mm.
CrossFit and gym owners and stuff, because
Yeah.
coaching is huge.
It is. It is. It's, we've all been in positions where we've been told what to do, and here's a cookie cutter model, but that's not my dream. And that was the thing on my initial call with Chuck and Tony is, they asked, well, what do you want the affiliate to be? And rather than saying, well, here's what best practice looks like for an affiliate, it's okay, cool. That's what you want. Let's get it. And I know at the end of COVID, I expanded into a second shed, and they were like, any other business coach probably would have said to you, well, that's dumb. Why are you doing that? They were like, okay, cool. How many new members do we need to pay for that? How much extra revenue? Okay, let's make sure by the time you have to start paying for it in full that we've got that covered. So, how do we do that? And,
Yeah,
I was then, thinking about concepts and ideas and ways to do that. And it was completely about, well, this is your dream. You know, if you want to go do that, do that. We're just going to help support you and ask you the questions to help you navigate it and make it successful. It's about what you want and caring about Lisa, the person, as well as Lisa, the gym owner. It was very
right.
different experience to what I'd had prior. And,
Yeah,
we're
and
all
it's very
told hustle and grind and all those sort of catchphrases where it's like, hey, are you getting enough sleep? Are you working out? Are you eating well? It's like, what's your wellness? What's your thing that no one, asks you about?
yeah. Are you spending time with your family? Do you get your
Yeah.
you time? Right?
Yeah.
It's that's a big thing, especially for owners. But I
Yeah.
mean, even sometimes even more so for coaches, if they're trying to eventually make a living out of this, and then they're coaching either in multiple affiliates or taking on more personal training or doing other things to try and make ends meet. um,
Mm.
like the one-on-one coaching helps you narrow that down so that you can make the most out of your time, not only find what's best for you and what your dream is and help move you in that direction, but just become solution oriented for whatever problem you're trying to solve or direction you're trying to move in, not only in CrossFit, because
Mm.
CrossFit doesn't exist by itself, right? We all have
Yeah.
lives outside of CrossFit. Our members bring them in with us. We bring them in
Mhm.
with us. It affects everything we do. So you have to care about Lisa, the person, and the person. And, that's very clear in the one-on-one coaching, because you can't
Yep.
ignore the stuff that happens outside of the walls of your box.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So for other gym managers and head coaches, people who are, similar position to you, they're maybe feeling stuck, maybe feeling a bit lost or overwhelmed with information that's out there, and also overwhelmed with the information givers who are promising quick solutions and all the answers. What's your guidance to them?
Get on a call. Get on a call
Yeah.
with Chuck and Tony, because It'll change your life. But seriously, you know, we're so willing to put money into seminars and level 2, level 3, whatever, um, because we think it's going to make us better, but it's just more information. Invest in something that's actually going to give you the tools to move that information and do something with it and help
Mm,
you, not just in the gym. It will help you on so many more levels than the hours you spend in the gym. Um,
yeah.
so follow the podcast, Instagram, all that stuff. I mean, I sound like a sales rep, but it did change. I mean, I wish I found Fit Affiliate. You know, I wish I knew about them years ago because they have changed my life. As you know, I've been slowly infiltrating Fit Affiliate
Yes.
as well.
Uh,
So, um,
which is I guess, the next step in your journey. Like, you are taking that step into, coaching by running a program of PIN yourself now. So it's almost you're the
yeah,
ultimate successful graduate where you've been through the programs, you've experienced the coaching, and now you're like, yeah, I'm ready to. The greatest demonstration of mastery is to be able to teach what you've learned to others. And
right.
that's the next step you've made, which is a powerful way to give back into the ecosystem.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
And
that was I remember when Jamie told me, she's like, "We want you to do pin," and I was shocked, um, but I was honored, and I was like, "Yes, it's finally happening." Because I mean, like I said from the beginning, the first call I had, I was like, "I need to be in with these people. This makes sense. This is applicable in every aspect of life, and it speaks to me so strongly."
mm,
Because it can help so many people, no matter what avenue you're headed down.
yep,
And yeah, so I infiltrated, and here I am, and I'm
here you
running
are.
the next pin, and hoping to find people that I can help them find their solutions and
Mm.
move
But I think
in their.
you're in such a unique position that you're in the same role that they are. So you understand from their perspective of, yeah, sometimes it's hard to go up and talk to your own about something, or it can be daunting to raise something. It's like, yeah, cool. And let's work through that and why that, because you've walked that path yourself. So, that's a powerful
Yeah,
thing for you. And you're right. Like, through my work with Fitfiliate, I opened my gym to help people. And then I realized through Fitfiliate, if I started, once I got the opportunity to start coaching clients, it's like, well, instead of helping 100 people at my gym, if I help 5 coaches with their affiliates, that could be 1,000 people that I could potentially help lead better
yeah,
lives through CrossFit, because their gyms are going to stay open. Their owners are happy and healthy. Their coaches are happy and healthy. They're thriving. They're offering new things. Like, that's like a powerful way to think about it.
yeah,
So it's just about helping everybody. A rising tide, rises all ships. So we're all helping each other in the ecosystem. So thank you, Ash. It's been a really insightful chat with you today.
thank you.
Um, it's been great to hear your perspective on some things, and even things that we haven't chatted about in our calls. But, I
Yeah.
appreciate your time today and jumping on the podcast. I know it can be a daunting thing, but I told you we'd make you look good. So um, thanks. Thanks for your time this morning, Ash.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you, my friend, for listening to the Fit Affiliate podcast. If you would be interested in hopping on a free call with us to just kind of chat about what you think your problems are and what you think the gap is between where you're at and where you want to go, we can see if maybe we can help you along that journey, figure out if we're all a good fit to do some sweet things together. So click the link, set up a consult. Let's help you identify some problems that we can mutually solve.